Enzo Maresca sacked and parts ways with Chelsea Football Club. Strained relations, media outbursts, a run of poor results have all taken its toll on the team, the manager, and of course the hierarchy. It's New Year's Day. It's another new dawn for Chelsea Football Club, but Enzo Maresca officially parts ways with Chelsea Football Club. Hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribing. Turn on that bell notification button as well. Let's do this. Official word here from David Ornstein. Breaking news. Chelsea and Enzo Maresca part company. Head coach leaves with immediate effect. Position deemed untenable. Chelsea expect to name replacement from small number of candidates in the next few days. Rafinha as a contender. Grazna not in the frame, according to David Ornstein on this big breaking news. Well, it's not quite the morning. I was actually just having my breakfast when this news broke as well, which is absolutely massive in that regard. And you may see an update in relation to that come through a little bit sooner. In fact, an update from Fabrizio here says Chelsea will appoint a new manager very soon. Not going to take weeks or a long time. The club is now working on it. Liam Rafinha, highly rated internally after excellent job at Strasbourg, and he is among the contenders. So Liam Rafinha, quote, name dropped by Fabrizio Romano and by David Ornstein. We are going to be taking your calls. We are going to be getting your views and getting your opinions on this during the live show today, because again, I always tell you guys, your opinions on these things matter so much more than mine, and in some regards, so much more than what the pros have got to say. But this is, I said it this morning on the video only got released about half an hour ago. Our morning video did. And as I said then, and I'm going to say it again now, you would never have imagined this 5 weeks ago. 5 weeks ago, Chelsea battered Barcelona. We're gearing up for the Arsenal game. I know it was only a draw, but we're brilliant in that match. And Chelsea looked to have turned a corner. Chelsea looked like a new team. Chelsea looked as though they were going from strength to strength. And a series of bad results, some of them poor managerial decisions. We are not going to forget the Leeds United situation, where I think he made too much rotation whilst already having players out and unavailable. Some of the players clearly not being good enough, and the manager himself has called that out. We can't sit here and pretend that isn't the case. The manager has called out the ownership and has essentially said, you haven't done enough in certain areas. You know, we're not going to deny that. We're not going to pretend that that wasn't a thing, that isn't an issue, that isn't also part of this makeup, as it were. So some of the players not being good enough. Chelsea fans, though, by and large, we've said it in the last few days, fuming, angry, and not just at the run of results. It's the overarching project. It's the idea that they're doubling down on just buying young players and not going to buy the experience needed. There was a great quote from a Chelsea fan the other day, which was, Clearlake are addicted to keeping us 1 year away from being 1 year away. And I think that's resonated with a lot of Chelsea fans. It really has. And if I speak as a rival, you know, I wouldn't even look at this as great news per se. It is, because Chelsea not getting back to the top is a good thing from a Man United fan perspective. But I'm not here to speak about this from a Man United fan point of view. I'm here to speak about this as a football fan. And I just don't like how Chelsea, something about this situation at Chelsea. And I've been very consistent with Clearlake that some of the things they're doing, I think, are right. I love that they're buying young players to sell to make profit. There's a way of generating extra income, but that income should be spent on established players, top quality players that make you win trophies. I like the fact that they've gone out and bought some of the best youngsters in the world to add them to their first team. But you've got to complement that now that you're a good team. You're a very good team. You want to become a great team, but you need great players. I like the fact they actually fixed their wage structure for a period. But the idea, as we thought it was, you fix it, you get a good culture in the dressing room, you get the right balance, and you start increasing those salaries, buying those players that are ready-made. That hasn't happened yet. And the fact that Liam Rafinha and we will go, maybe I called him Leroy earlier. I keep calling him by his dad's name. I'm very sorry. You know, these things I feel are a massive concern. That being said, we have to also look at this from the other side. And there is another side to this story that I don't want to forget. So we can go back 5 weeks and say, I never saw this coming. But an incident happened on the 18th of December. And that was David Ornstein telling the world that Enzo Maresca was high amongst the candidates of Manchester City, Manchester City's list in case Pep Guardiola exits as the next manager. City are advancing their contingency work for the possibility that Pep leaves. What we shouldn't do, what we can't do, is deny that at the exact same time, at the exact same moment that the results started going funny, the manager started speaking out about his problems with Eghbali, he was linked to this Man City job. And one thing we said at the time, just as we're having a conversation, we're spitballing here. What if the outburst were to weaken his position at Chelsea to make it easier to go? What if he's helping his new employers get him cheaper because he's not connected to a football club? Now, that could just be conspiracy theory, but I think it's worth remembering. But there's loads of elements to this. Equally, in defense of Maresca, for weeks now, I have been reading and looking at articles from very well-placed Chelsea journalists about Liam Rosenior. He's always been the first name sources have said to me when talking about any replacement coming in. There's no dead cert that it will be him. But for me personally, I'd be fairly surprised if it wasn't him who they bring in. So at the same time as Maresca may have been flirting with a new club, I've probably been reading connections of Liam Rosenior to Chelsea for about 3 or 4 months. So I think what you're probably looking at here is a perfect storm. That the manager has become frustrated with the purchasing. Why didn't we, you bought good talents in Gittins, good talents in Delap, but I needed Osimhen, I needed Mark Gahey, I needed Semenyo, and you gave me players that aren't ready yet. So again, it's another year of development as opposed to pushing on and challenging for that title. At the same time, Chelsea look like they've become frustrated and they're looking and seeking a new manager. And on top of that, you've then got the situation where maybe the players, maybe the manager have all just gone, well, this is a bit of a mess. There are some reports from some big sort of Chelsea fans that some of the more senior players in this Chelsea squad are also starting to feel a little bit disillusioned. Now, none of that's been confirmed by the kind of tier one journalists at this particular moment, but we will certainly keep an eye on it. And there's another thing that stands out to me as well. And I think that in reading this, we'll come back to that one in a minute. I think it was this post here. No, it isn't. I can't quite find it now. Where is this post gone? So this was what I saw from Alex Crook yesterday, and that is that the main fallout at Chelsea is between Enzo Maresca and Eghbali. And I think what is significant about this, and this is why this is my biggest message to Chelsea fans. So please, if you're going to listen to one thing I say today, if you're going to take one thing I say and take it away, listen to me here, because this is where I am talking to you as a Man United fan. This is where I am talking to you from the perspective of somebody who's got bad owners. And I'm not saying everything your owners are doing is wrong, so please don't be polarized. But if you're going to listen to one thing, I mean it, listen to this. The fact now that Graham Potter, Thomas Tuchel, Poch, and now Enzo Maresca, the fact that all of those managers have had fallings out with Eghbali, the fact that they've all sort of been dismissed and the PR and the narrative from Chelsea is just fragmented relationships, we didn't see eye to eye, our view of football was different. This has to ring an alarm bell. This has to set your mind racing. You must dig and you must ask questions. Whether we have people like Ches who come on the Football Terrace who are massive fans of Clear Lake, who buy into almost everything they do. They criticize small things, but by and large, they back it. Then you've got the likes of Don and David who like some parts and not others. They criticize some bits, but they're willing to see the project They're willing to give the project the years it needs for these young players to reach the top. And then you got other Chelsea fans like Matty, Winter Surfer, CB that come on the shows who see it completely differently, that the club is not being run right, that the project is a disgrace, that it isn't really, the managers are not really the problem. It's bigger issues. There's bigger issues at play. So whether you fit in any of those boxes or you're a combination of those things is almost irrelevant. You have to look at the patterns here. And the patterns are every single manager seems to fall out with your hierarchy. Now, it might just be, and when I said at the start, I'm telling you this as a Man United fan, I absolutely mean this in the sense that, and I want to make sure I say this in the right way. We've gone through so many managers, and it's nearly always the same cycle, nearly always the same problems, that although I may think it's right for a manager to leave. And I do think, by the way, it was correct to sack Enzo Maresca. Sorry, guys, I've got to send a quick message. Very sorry, because I've got something coming through to me here. Bear with me a second. Sorry, peeps. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. There we go. Sorry. I couldn't talk while I was writing that. It was quite serious, so I had to get it done. But from my point of view and perspective, we have gone through so many managers. It may then be right. It may be the correct thing to do to move the managers on. Because the relationship in the dressing room or the relationship with the directors, the people running your club, the ownership, it may become untenable, fragmented and problematic and toxic. But that action may not be the solution. And we get suckered into this as fans. Oh, we're going through a bad patch. We've sacked the manager. We're going to get better. And that's because of the mainstream media. I'm telling you this now, that's more the mainstream media than anything else. Because the mainstream media build everything up in a very binary, very basic, very much a 1-2 way. 1-2. You're playing badly. Sack manager, get a new manager, and you'll be okay. It's kind of how things are framed. There's very little accountability put on players. There is almost, I would say, only 5% of airtime and column pages are about the most important part of football clubs in 2025. Partly because they're boring, but they're only boring because they never spend any time educating fans on, as I say, maybe the most important part, and that is who is running the club day to day. Who is doing the jobs that the Wengers, the Jose's 20 years ago, the Fergies used to do, the Brian Cloughs of this world? Who's doing that job? It isn't the current day head coaches, by and large. It's the sporting directors, etc. The reason why I say this is because you may, and I'll be honest and unbiased about this, I hope for every Chelsea fan I know and respect, and I've got a lot that come on the shows, a lot in my personal life, I hope for you on a personal level that Liam Rosenior comes in or Xavi comes in, it fixes you, you challenge for the title, you get back to the promised land. Congratulations. I really hope for you, especially, the followers, my subscribers that watch all the time, I really hope for you that's the case. I do. But I don't believe it's going to happen. Do I believe you're going to, again, there's not do polarization here. I'm not saying you're going to finish 8th and 10th and you're a rubbish team and you've got no good players and everything you do is wrong, because again, I think that is a massive and wild overstatement. I'm not going to do that. But look at the pattern here. Multiple managers. You can go back to posts here under Thomas Tuchel from Ben Jacobs. About Thomas Tuchel's situation with your ownership right through till now. Do not ignore these red flags. Do not ignore these patterns. Put pressure on your club to do the right thing. I mean, it's your football club. How you put pressure on them is entirely 110% up to you. But in my humble opinion, do I think sacking Enzo Maresca and bringing in a new head coach is going to put you back to where you really want to be? No. I don't think if you went and got Pep Guardiola today, that you would get back to the absolute pinnacle of where Chelsea fans want to be. And when you look at the money you invest in your players, where you should expect to be. This isn't about Chelsea fans or United fans or Arsenal fans or City fans being entitled. It's just return on investment. At the end of the day, if you pay top dollar for players, if you pay out big wages, if you spend billions building squads, you can't be expecting to do what Aston Villa, oh, you know what, qualify for Champions League. That's great. Oh, we picked up a League Cup. No disrespect to Newcastle and Villa. Chelsea's wage bill is almost as much money as they generate in income. All of our clubs, it's not an entitlement as fans of the smaller clubs try and make it sound. It's an expectation built based on what you spend. Now, equally, you're not going to go from being where you were to peak Chelsea within one summer. Things still take time. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. But as I've said already, and I'll reiterate it again, do not ignore the clear and obvious signs that are in front of you. Every manager seems to fall out of Egbali. Every manager seems to have problems with your hierarchy. There is something in that. There is something there for you to focus on. Now, what next? What next is obviously the big point. And we've seen updates from David Ornstein and from Fabrizio Romano that Oliver Glasner has been ruled out as of right now. Oliver Glasner has been ruled out as things stand by David Ornstein. But both those journalists, two of the biggest journalists in the world, two of the most respected journalists in the world, have said and name dropped Liam Rossigna. And I do have this feeling that there is something in this. The likes of Simon Phillips have been talking about him for a number of months. I've seen Chelsea fans speaking on this for a while. And just as we're talking here, actually, there's some more breaking news and exclusive here from David Ornstein, who says Enzo Maresca informed Chelsea twice in late October and again in mid-December after post-Everton comments. He was talking to people associated with Man City. Wow, about the manager position if and when the vacancy arises. Chelsea contract obligated the 45-year-old to do so. So there we go. I said on the Football Terrace, you've heard me say that a few times, and we'll reiterate it again. That is not to be ignored. So the one thing here where I'll defend Chelsea, as in the board, the hierarchy, is say that a lot of these problems also started to happen as soon as Maresca started talking to Manchester City. And that conversation started in late October. We only found out about that on the 18th of December. So that is also a factor in this as well. That's one where I said earlier, don't ignore the signs of multiple managers falling out with ownership. But what I would say for balance here is if Maresca's, maybe the hierarchy has just said, well, you can't be doing, maybe that's where the relationship completely broke down. That being said, Maresca being approached by Man City, but also being frustrated at the lack of experience being bought and at the transfer policy. I also get it from his perspective of, hang on, I could potentially go to a club here who see football differently, who want to do it a different way, who want to behave a different way. I'm going to make that move. So there's a real combination here of things to kind of go through and speak about. But as ever, look, hit the like and share button, please. I want to get your views on this. I cannot wait to hear what you've got to say on this. I can't wait to read some of your comments back. But Maresca has parted ways with Chelsea. He has lost his job. What next? Let me know in that comment section below. And let's go and have a look here, excuse me, at some of your comments. Can you imagine United had these standards? Well, I don't necessarily think this isn't about the standards. I mean, this is the irony in it, like Mike. I think you're looking at this from a perspective of, they've sacked a manager because he's won one game in 7. If you think it's the one game in 7 that's been the catalyst behind this, you're wrong. 1, the manager's looking at City. 2, the manager hates the transfer policy. The fans are backing Maresca by saying, well, we keep buying young players, we're not buying the established players. So I think you're missing, again, you just don't understand what's going on. D here says, Egbali out, but Maresca talking to City is a disgrace. I get why you would say it's a disgrace. I get why you think that as Chelsea fans. I would look at it this way. Chelsea Football Club have a contingency plan. Chelsea Football Club have, excuse me, Chelsea Football Club have a list of managers that they'll constantly be in contact with, agents primarily, in case one of their managers leaves or gets sacked. If clubs can have a contingency plan, I think it's absolutely acceptable for managers to have a contingency plan. The same as if it's okay for clubs to chase after players, I think it's okay for players to chase after clubs. I don't differentiate there. But I get from a Chelsea fan perspective, that's massively frustrating. I hear it because it may be one of the reasons that your season has collapsed. Maybe the players sit there and go, hang on, he doesn't even want us. He doesn't even want us. He wants to be elsewhere. So I do get that. Patrick here says, I wonder what messages this sends to Chelsea's top players. Players know the managerial stability helps with building your career at the club. How can you progress when you change your manager every 2 years? Well, look, you can, because there are players that have progressed at other clubs across Europe that change managers because the head coach isn't the most important part. That the club behind the scenes do things. I think where the opposite side to the players maybe feeling downbeat about Maresca not wanting to be there is the opposite side, which is maybe the players look at this and go, well, the manager wants out because he doesn't believe we're ever going to get to the top. Maybe he's right. Am I wasting my time here? That's the impact potentially it could have, Patrick. It's a really good point. Glasner not in the frame due to winning trophies. Oh, look, I would say this about Oliver Glasner. I'm not too sure he's right for Chelsea. And the sample size is small, but I'll tell you as to why. If you look at his win rate when his team have more of the ball, it's horrendous versus when they're counter-attacking. So maybe he goes to Chelsea, has more of the ball and is brilliant. But there is this part of me that thinks he might struggle in a team that has to have the ball and has to be more aggressive. Fuming with the owners and the ball is what Sam says here. Sam, I get this. I absolutely get it. I absolutely understand it. I get your pain. I get your frustration. I get your annoyance because it's a combination here. And this is what I would say, to be fair about this. I'm not playing all sides. I'm just being honest with you. This is a combination. A big part of this is the board. I do think part of it is the players because I don't think some of them are good enough. But I also think the manager's made mistakes individually, but he's also flirting with another club. Overall, it's a mess. It really is. Overall, it's a mess. So I need a little bit of Gaviscon here. Bear with me a second. So I ate food before going live and now I'm talking. And when I eat, I like sitting down afterwards and I got to. And it's very thick, this. So it takes ages to come out. Apologies. This here from Baz. He says, are owners like this killing the game, Terry? If they never adapt their model, and let's go back to early conversations that we all had on the Football Terrace about their model. Some loved it, some hated it. I'm always someone that will give things a chance. And it's not my club, by the way, so my view on this is not irrelevant, but I get that some Chelsea fans were against it. And they're starting to look like they were right overall. Were they right about every facet? No, because there are some things that have worked. There are some things that have, there are some things that are good. However, at the end of the day, if they never change their model, look, maybe it works. Maybe Caicedo and Palmer and co mature mid to late 20s, and they go on this run of winning multiple Premier Leagues, and we go, actually, it works. But you could also just argue that 3 or 4 experienced players a couple of years earlier, they could have won those trophies anyway. So you've got to be balanced in your approach here. If they don't adapt and all they ever buy is young players, they don't ever pay anybody that go. The big argument's going to be if they do win a major trophy, and then suddenly your Palmers and co want, well, we want to get paid what all the other top players in the world get paid. 250 grand a year. Then whenever you're signing somebody new to add into that mix, they're going to want the same. Are they willing to do it? Because if they never adjust that wage cap by a considerable amount, they'll never reach the top, or never maintain it, which is more important. They'll never maintain it, and that's just. And the reason why I know that as a guarantee is because there isn't a business in the world that underpays the best performers. Let's say you run a tech company and you're going to try and challenge Apple. Well, there comes a point, maybe you're beating Apple. Maybe you're outselling Apple. But when it comes to your engineers and your designers and all your tech teams, I don't know the official roles and names of these individuals, your engineers, you can't be saying, right, we're bigger and better now than Apple, and you've made us get there. And they go, right, we want to get paid what the Apple people get paid then. And you go, no, I'm going to pay you what a startup company gets paid. They're going to leave and go to Apple. They're going to leave and go to the other tech companies. They're going to want to be compensated for it at some point. So you have to look at this. Terry, look at Ornstein's latest tweet. Chelsea's contract allowed him to talk to City. That's very interesting. You say it allowed it. Has that been updated? Chelsea's contract obligated 45-year-old to do so. Well, I read that as the contract means that he did the article. Let me read the article. It's probably easier to read the article than it is to just read the tweet. Let's go and have a look at the article. We're going to take some calls in a moment. We're going to take some calls. On this, let's read this article though. Is it logged me in? Why isn't it logged me in? What's going on there? Hang on. There we go. Oh, what's it doing? Oh no, it's asking me to upgrade. I don't want to upgrade. I just want to read the bloody article. Come on. Right, it says here, Chelsea have parted ways with head coach. The Athletic reported, done all this. During his time at the club, Enzo Mareca, okay, don't care. Yeah, the Athletic revealed days after the comments that had led to head coach being on the candidates list at Man City in the event of Pep Guardiola leaving. Sources briefed on the matter, not authorized to speak publicly, indicate that Maresca informed Chelsea twice in late October and then again in mid-December that he was talking to people associated to City about, not directly, but associated, that'll be intermediaries, about his candidacy for the managerial position if and when a future vacancy arrives. This was something he was contractually obligated to do in relation to talks with other clubs. Yeah, so the article doesn't state that he was allowed to talk to them, but there's no rule against it. So speaking to an intermediary is not tapping up. It's not against the rules, you know. So, but what he has to do if he has any conversations like that is inform Chelsea, so he did. And that's how the news has obviously got out. Someone at Chelsea. And this is why I feel like this is not just about the results. I feel like this has been building up because maybe Chelsea felt like their nose were being pushed out of joint. You're already complaining about signings and transfers, doesn't feel backed. There's already a bit of friction. Now you're talking to another football club. None of this helps. And this is why I think all parties should bear an element of the responsibility here. I think that's a very, very important part. A very, very important part. Indeed. Let's look at some more of your comments here. This is from Robert, who says, I'm happy Maresca left. He could finally go to a club with winning ambition. Lol, imagine Liverpool, Real Madrid, and United or Spurs getting Maresca. Good luck, Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, that is the other side to this, isn't it? That another club comes in and he does very well there. Because there are some brilliant parts of Maresca. There's no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it. But I don't think he will go to any of those clubs. I've got a feeling Pep leaves at the end of this season. And if he's on that candidate list, he's going to wait. Excuse me. Why would you not? Why would you not wait? Think about it. Why would you not wait for the Man City job? That, for me, is something that you must do. I'll be bringing Elijah on in a few moments. We're going to share the link as well for people to come on and have their say. I'm just going to post it into the live chat and then pin the comment. Bear with me a second. I'll just do this. That's pinned. We want to hear from you. I want to say thank you to Luke Skywalker. They're 31 months as a member. Yes, people, I know that you might not be happy news for you guys today, but please give the show a like if you haven't done so already. Really, really important to the terrace that you do that. Elijah, obviously massive news. I'm going to bring him on here now to have his say. Elijah is now with us. Massive news today, my friend, about obviously the sacking of Enzo Maresca. What's your initial thoughts to this?
Oh, Terry, it's been coming. It's been coming because after the Bournemouth game, Enzo Maresca was supposed to be sick. That's the reason why he didn't, do the post-match reaction. But it looks like that's not the case, and it looks like some of the fans, including Nick Barley, wasn't happy. But yeah, Terry, once again, 4 managers being sacked under this ownership, and it's just a joke. To be honest with you, it's just a joke. Like, do not get me wrong. When Enzo Maresca came in, Terry, I didn't rate him at all. At all, I didn't rate him. But he got into the top 4 and he won us a few trophies. So I was like, cool, okay. So now, if Enzo Maresca, wants to be a top manager, we have to back him. We need to bring in the players that can fit in our system. And Terry, unfortunately, he hasn't been backed. And I said to you in August that if we do not back Enzo Maresca, he will be leaving Chelsea this season. And surprise, surprise, it's happened. Now, I didn't expect this to happen, on the first day of 2026. I would have thought this would be at the end of the season. But the fact that it's happening now, it just tells you that it's just a joke. Like, we've got Man City, and I don't know who the manager is going to be. And this is why I say to you, we're not going to win that game because if Enzo Maresca was still here, I would still say we're going to lose. But he can do one of the big games, but now he's not here, Terry. How are we going to beat Man City without Enzo Maresca? Like, it makes no sense. And like I said before, if Enzo Maresca leaves today, then so do the sport directors, because Enzo Maresca is not the issue. Don't get me wrong. Enzo Maresca is accountable. I look at the Atalanta game, and that's the worst game management I've ever seen. When he put Gusto in the 10, Caicedo's right back. I look at that game thinking, what are you doing? They look at the Man United game. We went down to 10 men, and then he decided to take off 2 wingers and leave João Pedro all by himself. That was poor. Then I look at the Leeds game. Putting Chalobah as right back makes no sense to me. It really didn't. So for me, he deserves a bit of criticism. But he's not the main problem, Terry. I don't believe, he said to the owners, I want Liam Delap, I want Garnacho, I want this and that. He clearly wanted a centre-back because Levi Colwill was our best player, and he's got an ACL. And that means, and you know what happens, you're not going to be playing for the rest of the season. So he clearly wanted a centre-back, but the owners said, listen, we've got Toss, we've got Chalobah, internal solution, all that stuff. And I'm thinking, like, why not would you say that to him? Why? Because Tosin isn't good enough. Chalobah, on his day can be good, but he's not that player that can take us to the next level. Badishua ain't good enough. We still got Disasi. You know what I mean? Where's Fofana? Is a good player, but I don't think he's good enough to take us to the next level. So we clearly want a centre back. I clearly wanted Mark Guehi because he's Premier League experience, and he can also play both on the left and on the right centre back. And that's exactly what we need. But we didn't back him, and now he's gone. What we're going to do now? I don't, and this is why I do not trust the sport directors, Terry, to bring in a better manager than Maresca. You know what I mean?
So Elijah, for me, the top candidate right now seems to be Leon Rossinha. I mean, how excited are you at the prospect of another young and relatively inexperienced head coach coming in?
I really don't know if I should be happy because I do not know about him. I haven't been watching Strives a bit this season. So for me, I feel like, listen, he can be a better manager than Maresca, but there's a 80% of me saying that he's not going to be better because I do not know him. I really don't. I haven't watched Strasbourg. I don't know where they are in the league. I don't know how enough he's good in the system. I really don't know. But it looks like he's coming in, and I really don't know. Like, let's say if he can make plays the likes of Cole Palmer, if he can improve on the players, then I will be happy. But to be honest, if you tell me, I really don't know. I don't know if there's a better manager than Enzo Maresca at the moment, but if he comes in, I wish him the best of luck. I hope he can do well for Chelsea, but at this point, Terry, I do not know.
I understand that completely, mate. Look, I appreciate you calling in and giving us your thoughts, mate, and we'll chat again soon.
Yeah.
Top man. Thank you, mate. Thank you. We have Sam on with us next. Sam, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming in. Obviously, kind of mad news when you think back 5 weeks ago after beating Barcelona, but Chelsea have parted ways with Enzo Maresca. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I put the super chat in to say that I was fuming with the board and stuff, and I don't blame Maresca at all for talking to other clubs. When you want players and the club don't bring them in, as you probably know with Amorim and Man United, it's frustrating. because what do you expect him to do? What, a club that sells their best players and then the manager gets sacked 6 months because they're losing. What do you expect them to do if you're not going to replace them? And in Chelsea's case, if you're not going to bring what he wants in, you're just bringing in prospects and talent. What do you expect the man to do? I have no problem with Maresca talking to Man City. I've got no problem him going there, and I hope I sort of hope he's going to be successful, but I don't really, I want Chelsea to be successful. But to me, and with the clip that you said about, that they're keeping us always a year behind, and, exactly what Elijah said, it's correct. It's, we all know, Chelsea fans and non-Chelsea fans, where they're going wrong, lack of experience. Some of the players they've brought in, they're not good enough. And the players who are obviously good enough, who would really improve Chelsea, make them a title contending side, they haven't brought in. So the fact that he spoke to Man City, not a problem. The fact that he's been sacked, well, I think it was always going to go that way, isn't it? Once that starts. And please don't ask me about Rafinha coming in, because I think I'd lose my head, because again, it's another talent, it's another prospect, isn't it? We have no idea about him, absolutely no idea. I've got no clue. I did see him a bit as a player. He was okay, but obviously it could be as a manager. You just don't know.
Yeah, it was, for me, it was listening to a lot of Chelsea fans in the last month talk about how he's part of the succession planning. He's been at the club, that he's a big fan of Blueco. But then the other side of it, which I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans say, I'd love to get your perspective on this, is this element of he's just like the typical yes man that they want, so that he doesn't push back too much. They're able to operate in the right way. He'll defend them consistently in press conferences. Is that a concern for you, that you go down that kind of route?
Yeah, definitely. Because, judging by, previous managers having problems with, what's his name on the Chelsea, I've forgotten his name now.
Bali.
Yeah. So to me, does that mean they're trying to get Rafinha because he isn't going to cause this guy issues? He isn't going to argue with him, things like that? That's a red flag. That's a huge red flag. And to me, if it happens that Rafinha becomes the manager, then to me, there has to be massive protests about the ownership, because I don't know how they think buying these. Yes, they're talented, but the argument as well is Casado, Palmer, Fernandez, as you said earlier in the stream, these maybe slightly older, they're still young, but slightly older. Why aren't they going to get fed up with what's going on? And just think, no, I'm not doing this. I want to go to a club who's serious, like Maresca's doing. To me, it's Maresca's turning around and going, I want to go to a club who's serious about winning titles, not just one, two, multiple titles, and building a squad for it, not just a team, a squad.
Yeah. No, I think Sam, I think you're absolutely spot on when you say that. It's these, as you say, sometimes if you're someone that doesn't like how your club's being run, there is this part of you that will think, if Maresca leaves and he's successful, maybe it'll open the eyes to more Chelsea fans to push back against it, even though you don't want him to do well. The issue with that train of thought is, if that happens and Maresca goes on to strength, what's that going to do to the mindset of a Palmer, of a Caicedo? They're looking, well, he's left. Clearly, he wasn't the issue. Maybe it's here. Maybe, and if the manager's feeling that way, why won't, what if you fast forward 2 years and you're still on the edge, and some of these players are now 25, 26, but they're not winning those major trophies? It's one of the reasons you guys were so good for so long under Roman, is you invariably kept your stars. A handful, like Ian Robben, left, but the majority stayed because you were winning trophies. And that was one of the reasons that Arsenal failed in that same era, because they'd lose all their best players because they didn't feel the players didn't feel they were able to get over the line. And you don't want to become that team. And there's a chance of that. So I do get the conundrum that you're going through.
Yeah, it's that, will these players stay? And I don't honestly think, my personal opinion, and this is just an opinion, I I think the board probably don't particularly care if the top players stay, because what they're going to do, they're going to bring in profit. You know, Palmer will be a profit. Okay, Casado, Fernandez, it was 100 million. I'm not very good with the financial bits of monetize area and over the years and stuff like that. Probably will give break even. I don't see them being a loss, you know. And my concern as well is buying all these wingers and a striker who played for Ipswich in the Premier League for a year. Why did you buy them? Is it because monetization, they will actually, their value will be less. They will lose their value less than other players. Like you know the big bucks, the people that you buy, bring in the money. It's your strikers, it's your wingers, it's your midfield.
Yeah.
So is that why they haven't invested in a goalkeeper? Is that why they haven't invested in a back four? Because actually their value sinks lower. I don't know. That's an opinion.
It's a fair point, and I understand completely why. I understand completely and utterly why Chelsea fans have got all these questions, because I remember we go back to last January, you guys were one win away from overtaking Liverpool on the top. And I just remember sitting there thinking, well, Chelsea, everyone was debating, will City spend in January? Will Arsenal spend? Will Liverpool build more? And the one thing I think everybody kind of agreed on, Chelsea are going to spend, and they'll spend to try and win, because that's what Chelsea do. And it didn't happen. And then it didn't happen again in the summer in that way, in terms of, okay, there's some decent young players, but everybody was expecting a Victor Osimhen or somebody of that level. And it, as you say, it just didn't happen. So I do get the concern, Sam. I really do. I want to thank you for calling in. I really appreciate it massively. Thank you. And make sure you do it again. Thank you very much. And Happy New Year. Take care.
Happy New Year. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And Happy New Year to Elijah. I didn't say that to him earlier. Marshall's with us here. What are you saying, Marshall?
I wanted to point out something I don't think anybody else has pointed out. The entire ownership group, including sporting directors, are in the change room after every single game. Whether they win, lose, or draw, they're always there. I don't think that there is a manager currently that could deal with that around the players. Like, you're trying to debrief about how the game has gone, what we need to improve on, little bits and pieces, and the owners are just in there with you. They might be speaking up and over the top of you. You can't go, oi, shut up. I'm trying to talk to my players. They're the owners. You have to just sit there and go, oh, okay, I'll play second fiddle here. You say what you want to say. And that has to have a bearing on the players as well. They're looking at their manager going, boss. Oh, wait, not boss. Owners are the boss. They're in here taking charge. So I think...
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah, I think spot on. Manager's going to struggle.
No, I don't disagree with you. I think it's a lot of football fans or people that haven't worked in certain environments struggle sometimes with this element. And I say it all the time about United, where although I might not like a manager, I want the position that he holds to maintain its power and its control. And if the dressing room looks at a manager and feel like he doesn't really have, like, his bosses are there like standing over him after every game, how much trust do they really have in him? How much authority does he really have? All of these things play a part, and sometimes it's subconscious and it ebbs away a little bit. But in elite level sport, where every millimeter matters, all these little details, I think, are part of the issue. So when you hear him being sacked, what's your thoughts about the replacements? Are you kind of excited that you might get better, or do you feel a little bit like it's Groundhog Day?
I don't think it'll matter. Like, for example, Cesc Fabregas was one of my favorite players of all time. Loved the way he played, brilliant mind and everything. I would love to have him as a Chelsea manager, because I just think he would be able to manage the team well. He's quite a front foot manager, but he's really solid defensively. I don't want him to come to Chelsea right now, because he might go, right, I need a centre-back, for example. And this is something everybody has said. Chelsea fans, the manager, rival fans, everyone. We need a centre-back, a solid leader in the back. And they go, no, you can't have it. And then he does his best. He gets through, let's say, a season and a half of being micromanaged. They're always there. He can't imprint anything on it. And they go, right, you're not doing enough. You're off. Or he goes, I can't do any more with what you've given me. So I'm out. I can't do any more here. At this current juncture, I think it doesn't matter which manager we get. There won't be a massive improvement. I think that this may reignite the civil war between Eghbali and Bowley, where they had their fracture and they weren't talking, they weren't seen together, all that kind of stuff. I think this could be a catalyst for that, and seeing who will try and buy out who. I don't know who the better option there is. Bowley at least tries to win, and he went the whole, let's get every superstar that's out there to come and join Chelsea. Eghbali follows all the data and everything, and I don't think either is the right choice. I think they do need to work together, but these two seemingly can't, and they don't trust anybody below them to do the right things. That's why they're always there micromanaging. So I don't know what the right steps are. I think buying young players is a good thing, but if you look at all like really, really good teams, you've got players maybe between 25 and 30, and then you bring in like a young Estevao, for example, brilliant, come off the bench, learn from those older guys, take over when one of them reaches kind of a point where you're like, all right, we're moving you on now, and he slots into the team. You can't do that when every player on our team is 20. Like, that's obviously hyperbole, but our oldest player, I think, is 27. So...
Yeah, no, I totally understand. And I think for me, this is why it's... there's not a... Chelsea remind me a little bit of Man United, and some Chelsea fans don't like hearing. I think we're in a worse state than you, by the way. But there are some parallels. And one of them is just what you're sort of alluding to. It's, well, we can sack a manager or we can sign this new exciting player. But actually, a lot of it is a bit like, you know, when people feel a bit down and depressed and they do a bit of retail therapy. Oh, you buy the new shirt or the new pair of trainers and you feel good. But once you get home and you put the trainers, get out of the box, after a couple of days, that it wears off. Does that make sense? I feel like that's what...
You have to go buy more trainers.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost, you just, we're chasing the next thrill. Like sacking the manager sounds fun. All the prospects and tactical videos are there. But actually, if the club fundamentally doesn't change its model, you're not going to get that much better. You're just, and you're not in a bad situation. You're not crap. And that's what I want to make sure I'm reiterating. Chelsea are not a whack team, but you want to get to that next level. And it just feels like there's a glass ceiling that's always above you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was about to say that. There's an imposed limit that the owners have put there of just how far we can go before they look at either the manager and going, you're demanding too much of us and we're sick of that and we want to move you on, or the players do the same. They go, look, we've done enough. We've started winning trophies. They might not be the best trophies. We're winning trophies. We're looking good. Let's say Man City is linked via Fabrizio or something to Cole Palmer's coming back to Man City. Let's go with that. Why would he not look at it and go, well, maybe they come back this season, they win the league, and Chelsea they come sixth. Why would he not look at it and go, why am I staying here? We're not pushing further. We're just going, we had Jackson, we got rid of him, and we brought in someone slightly younger that I now have to create some sort of affiliation with. And if he doesn't do well, I wouldn't be surprised to see Delap at Everton next season, gone for 35 million or something like that. And we bring in somebody else, and then Palmer goes, right, now I have to create a relationship with you.
And it's another 20-year-old, though, that isn't experienced.
Exactly.
And
it's not going to be an option or something.
I agree. And so I was saying to Sam, I think there could be an element of the players at this moment going, oh, our manager doesn't even want to be here. So maybe that's why some of the results have gone off a bit. And there will be I think a new manager coming in, there'll be a bounce and you'll win some more games. Yeah. But as you say, if what they also might be looking at is going, well, look, Maresca's asking for better to make our team better. And the thing is, players aren't like, sometimes fans get a bit, oh no, I don't want to sign a new striker because it'll get in the way of the pathway of a certain player. Players don't feel like that. If you actually listen to players, they're like, no, I want my team to sign bigger and better players because they have more chance of winning trophies, which is what they're there for. So if they see Maresca talking to other clubs because he doesn't think Chelsea have got the appetite to get to that level, to say that won't get into their heads at all, or some of their heads, that's crazy talk. Of course it will. It's the reason why when you work you have a decent job, a decent career, at a decent level, and you come in and say, look, guys, I've just got a new job at a rival bank. I'm there's my notice. What 99.9% of those companies do is put you on gardening leave, because what they don't want you doing for the month, 3 months, 6 months notice period is telling everybody else on the floor about, oh, this bank, this is their benefits, this is the bonuses, this is where, because you start making other people think about leaving. Oh, that's a good idea, you know. And I think that's why they remove you. They want you out. That's one of the reasons. They also don't want you poaching people and stuff like that. But you can get into people's minds.
Yeah, the whole, like, the barrier for the young players to get through thing, I hate that. I wanted both Murillo and Huijsen from Bournemouth. I wanted those two centre-backs to come in this season. Obviously, one went to Real Madrid, and you can't fight that. He's Spanish. He wanted to go back. But if that blocked Colwell and he wasn't good enough to overcome Murillo, okay, we've got a better player then. He wasn't good enough to get better than Murillo and challenge.
So, yeah.
Okay, then Murillo's the better player, and now we have a better centre-back. But we won't do it.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. It's this. You need to create. You've seen it with Arsenal this year, because a lot of Arsenal fans said that for years. Oh, but what about this player? What about that player? Well, I think Martinelli's gone back up to his highest level since Madueke's come in to be an extra challenger and Eze's come in. Suddenly, Martinelli's kind of gone back to where he was 2 years ago at his best, because actually the pressure on them to deliver is now there. And I think that's something we've also lost sight of. And I find it's always the fans of the big clubs who have fallen off. It's never the fans of the big clubs that are winning. No one that's winning cares about competition for places. It's because what we get attached to, United, Chelsea, Arsenal used to do this. They're kind of almost over it now, is you just get attached to players, because that's all you've really got to boast about is my player's better than your player. That's it. That's all we've got. So you end up that becomes more your identity as a fan than what your team is looking to do. And it's not a great thing. But Marshall, thank you, mate, for coming on. I appreciate it. And Happy New Year to you, mate.
Cheers, mate. You too.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Kojo's on with us now. Kojo, you there, bruv? Oh, he's been loading in and out. Hello, mate. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm in bed still, you know.
Heavy night.
Nah, no. Well, yeah, I was doing some work and stuff, but
okay.
Yeah. So I'm alive and well. How you doing, then, bro?
I'm good. I'm suffering today. I had a bit to drink last night, and then
that's what happens.
I ate food and then had to go live, and I'm right now. I feel like I got an elephant sitting on my chest. Do you know what I mean? It's just the worst. Apart from that, I'm good, mate. But look, obviously, mad news today. Maresca's gone. You've kind of got replacements lined up. What's going through your mind, mate?
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I was a little bit disappointed. I can't lie. I actually like Maresca. You know, I liked it because I think when we're building this project, I understood that pain is a part of the project. You know what I'm saying to you? So I expect, that there'll be some growing pains. There'll be some going a bit backwards, sometimes go a bit forwards. I also accepted the fact Maresca's also learning on the job. You know what I'm saying to you? And he's also growing with the boys and the team. So I'm accepting that. You know, I'm not a person that I wasn't getting sad. I know the last couple of results we had the last few weeks, people were probably up in arms. For me, I recognize that December, Chelsea don't do well in December the last few years. It was bound to happen, and we'll go and kick on in the new year. So for me personally, hearing about him being sacked, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because you know what it is? In football, there's normally two ways that you know someone's about to get sacked. Usually the team don't back you and they made some mad statement about you before you're about to get sacked. And you hear it in the press and you hear some rumors. Or you normally hear a manager come out like Maresca did, and you come and hear them publicly criticize the board. That usually is a telltale sign that you're about to do your madness and you're about to cause your own demise in a sense, right? Yeah. And Maresca did that. You know what I'm saying? He did that. He did the public calling out of the board pretty much. So it was only a matter of time before this situation really kicked off. I didn't tell you right. And so, it's sad to see for me. I know a lot of Chelsea fans might be excited by it. And look, it might work out in our favor. I'm not excited by these kind of things. I don't get excited because we're now destabilized. So the next appointment is going to be very important. And I'm looking at the table and I'm going, the table's looking kind of empty. You know, people are talking about bringing in Glasner. Glasner who? You're in the same position, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for me, I'm not excited about it because we're destabilized. We're back to almost like it feels like square one again once more. But in chaos, there's always an opportunity. in that sense. So, hey, man, it's a shame.
Mate, listen, I
we all
understand
know
where
who
you're
you're
coming
getting, though.
from because. Sorry, go on, Tom. Go on, Tom.
We all know who they're getting. They're getting a senior from Strasbourg, and we're going to end up starting this weird managerial cycle between Strasbourg and Chelsea, where Chelsea effectively, I can't believe I'm saying this, Chelsea might effectively become a feeder club for managers because of how that setup is at Chelsea, where unless that board, and the fact they didn't do it for Maresca, for me, is very telling, especially after what he done last season. Do we ever now think that board is going to move away from this model and even for a summer or two, go, right, let's go buy the ready-made world class, take the next step? Or are they going to lock themselves into a cycle where they're so insistent on their philosophy and their setup and their style at the football club of bringing all these young players and developing them that they might inevitably turn into a development club for managers who go there to work with young players, to develop a couple of them, go there for 18 months, 2 years, 2.5 years, wait for the next big club in Europe or in the Premier League to announce that our manager's leaving. And then the Chelsea guys have put themselves in a great spot then to take over. Is that really what Chelsea should be doing at this point? 4 years into this ownership and the way they're going about it? Being a feeder club whose managers want to sit there and go, when City's available, when Real Madrid's available, when whoever's available, I'm going to jump ship first opportunity. That wasn't the Chelsea that I knew.
Well, this is the thing. No, but this is, I think it's a really good point. And a lot of Chelsea fans will take it as a dig, but I don't think it is meant. I don't think it's meant as a dig. It's this element of, I don't know about you, Kojo, and I know you're a patient man, and you and your brother's same. And I get the element of waiting, but didn't you think over the last 3 transfer windows, you may have just bought a little bit more experience and higher quality? You might have gone for a Donnarumma, a Gahey, an Osimhen, because I always felt that was when anyone defended Clear Lake and the project and the buying youngsters, it was always kind of caveated with a comment along the lines of, but once the core's there and the culture's built, then that comes. And it doesn't feel like it feels like the dad that always promised, the deadbeat dad who always says, don't worry, son, I'll be there at the weekend. And they never are. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean? That deadbeat dad. It feels a little bit like that. It feels like inevitable. Or the friend that always says they're coming to the party, but you just know you're getting a text 20 minutes before the party to say I'm not coming, like Tom did at my birthday party. Do you remember Tom? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm still down 100 quid from that because of drinks.
Well, yeah. I mean, look. I see the concerns. You know what I mean? I see the concerns. I can see how Tom's arrived to that conclusion. I'm not going to fight him on that conclusion because, again, we're all speculating and we don't 100% know, right? We can only see certain patterns that are beginning to form. I think for me personally, the only incongruence I'm seeing with Clear Lake and this decision is that if you are going to follow this youthful model, then you are building a project with a spine. Therefore, the manager also is included in that spine. He's built relationships with these players. He's won things with these players, which our previous managers had not yet done. So that's where the incongruence comes in. But I also recognize that when you're building something, sometimes a project manager has to be moved on because the project ain't moving the way you want it to move. You know what I'm saying to you? That's a sad reality of where we are in football. You know, if we are talking about football terms, and it very much is a circus at Chelsea, but it's a circus in football in general at this point, right? Managers get sacked after a few running games that don't go well. Liverpool we're looking to cancel Slot. We have Slot now in 4th position. If he starts climbing up, Tom, I'm going to forget about. I won't say Tom because I don't know if Tom was actually saying cancel Slot. I was just kind of being a bit rude.
He was.
Oh, he was.
I was, and I will continue to not playing well.
Yeah, but if now Slot gets up to 2nd position, it's chasing up Arsenal or even 3rd position, chasing up Man City and close the gap considerably. Should Liverpool fans have agginess to call him out? No, but this is what I'm saying about being impatient. And I think to myself that when it comes to Chelsea, my thing is if you're having a model, stick to it. If you're saying you're going to do youth players and you buy the best youth players around, you bought a coach. The coach is doing the best job he's doing, I think, possible at this point. And I also take into account this particular season that the management wasn't just about, just throwing different players into the team. We had a lot of injuries, bro. We had Reece James who couldn't play 2 games back to back. You know what I'm saying to you? I can see the thought process. But I don't like all the things he did, but I understood that in order. We've got Daniel Sego now out for how long? You know what I'm saying to you? So we have to manage his players.
Can I ask you a question, Kojo? What's your view on Maresca having a couple of conversations as early as mid-October with City in defense of Chelsea's board, which I've said a few times on the show?
Yeah.
I mean, that's also not going to help with the stability when your manager is talking to other clubs about leaving. Like, do you sympathise with Egbali and co in that regard? Because essentially, if you're having those, it's a bit like, you deal in relationships. It's part of your job is relationships. So it's one of them things where someone can say, "Oh, I didn't cheat on my husband. I didn't cheat on my girlfriend. I didn't cheat on my fiance." But if you're having conversations with people about the idea of going on a date, wouldn't it be cool if we went on a date? Oh yeah, for me, I still put that in the cheating category. Does that make sense? Because you're contemplating it. Like, that's not going to help Chelsea either, is it?
No, it's not. Look, if you put it in those terms, I totally understand. But we know football. Everybody's tapping up. You know what I'm saying to you? There are players who are talking to other teams. There are people that are doing pre-contracts before they ended that team. Like, this is now football. Football is no longer about loyalty. It's about what you can get out of it. And I'm not mad at it because everyone has to do what they have to do. Yes, it's not going to help the team in terms of long-term objective and stability if they found out Maresca was talking to Man City. You know what I'm saying to you? My thing is, why was he talking to Man City? Because if he's telling you that he wants certain players and you don't want to give it to him, and we saw the recruitment, I don't know what you want the man to do. Should he stay and just be a punching bag for you? No, he's not going to do that. So again, it goes two ways. My thing now is just like, okay, what's the next move? We had this. Let's not forget, we had a circus at Chelsea before this, bro. Our circus just had a dictator in it, which I really loved, and I say dictator with all the love in my heart. With Roman Abramovich, that man, if you don't get the results, you're out the door. Listen, you could do half a season, he gonna get you out the door if you don't get the results. So this chopping and changing has been Chelsea's kind of history for a very long time. My thing is, if you're gonna chop and change now as Clear Lake, let's make sure that you spend $1 billion, $2 billion almost. Make sure that you're getting somebody in who can actually do the job. Otherwise, you're wasting your money. You know what I mean? You can do all the immortalization you want, but these players ain't gonna go for much. Okay, Gittins like 55 million, but he ain't gonna go for much at this point. You know what I mean? I don't know who wants to take Gittins on. Who wants to take a natural one? Who wants to, like, these players are not looking good at the moment. So this model is looking a bit suspect. That's what I'm saying. But I'm giving it time, and I'm saying I'm willing to work with it. Chelsea for the title next season.
I hear that. A few super chats. It says, fact or fiction, if Chelsea's young players focus had won more trophies, other big teams would use the same model. Fact or fiction, Chelsea's model is built to foul.
No, PSG got a very young team.
Probably not. I've had doubts for 3 years that this model's going to work because these players aren't going to wait around for other players to catch up to them. This entire model's built around eventually having a core of players that want to play together in 2028, 2029. But right now, that might not happen because some players might be rattled with this Enzo Maresca news and the fact that they've been through 4 managers in 4 years at Chelsea. A successful project isn't cycling through managers year in, year out, especially when the project's built around young players who need the stability of having the same manager.
If they had a squad, if they had a squad as good as PSG's, then and you weren't winning the league, you can half understand the managers being sacked. But it is different. I mean, this year says bringing Nagelsmann and Fabregas. That the issues with managers like of that level and above is what they need to be careful of is the fact that you're not going to get the experienced players you need. Maybe the guys you're coaching will develop into those players, but the risk in the model, the way of not buying experience is I can't think of a club that's done what Chelsea has done and achieved the greatness that the fans seek. I genuinely, I can't think of an example where that's happened, where there hasn't been a mixture of experience. People got class of 92. No, there was an experienced core already there. It didn't happen. When Barca promoted all the youngsters, like sort of nearly 20 years ago now, again, they had some real experience and world-class experience in that squad. So, yeah, someone says Blackburn. No, I don't think Blackburn spent a hell of a lot of money and bought some experienced players like they did, and some very good players. I have to go back and look at the ages, but I don't think they just bought kids, if my memory serves me right. Eric Ten Hag to Chelsea get revenge and win trophies. Can you imagine? De Zerbi would do
He
wonders.
worked well with the youngsters at Ajax.
He did. De Zerbi might do well. De Zerbi could get you playing nice football. He's got Højbjerg killing it.
De Zerbi's just so volatile in the pressing to his players. I just think with Chelsea's squad, it's all about nurturing a team under the same ideology, and they've failed to do that for 4 years now because none of the managers have necessarily played the same way, and these players who they've been trying to develop and get into the same sort of phase, some of them have gone a lot quicker than others. So you're looking at it now, and they're going, I can't guarantee Cole Palmer will want to sit here for the next 2-3 years, going through the next set of managerial merry-go-rounds, whilst players are continuing to fail to develop to his level. But he's just going to sit there and go, it's all right. I'm going to wait till 2028, 2029. I think there's this one especially because I felt that Maresca had a lot of love from the players in terms of the way he was managing them and stuff. And I think that this will rattle a couple of them. I wouldn't be shocked if this wonderful project that Chelsea have been building, some players who they thought were going to be key aspects of it might want to push out the club in the summer and just go, look, it's a wonderful idea. In practice, it's not going to work.
Well, Gav here says we thought we had the Arsenal model, but we have the Spurs model with Clear Lake. I wouldn't go that far. But it's probably like you won some trophies. I would say it's nearer to Spurs than it is Arsenal in terms of looking like you're going to win a league title. Someone here says, Terry, chill out, man. We can see your hands. Like, yeah, I'll be honest with you, guys. I'm very secure in myself. It's because I'm actually, and I have been for about 30 minutes. I'm in the middle of just having a panic attack because I keep thinking I'm going to have a heart attack because of this chest pain. So I am. That's what you guys ever see me sitting on stream doing this. It's all hurting, and I'm sort of sitting here trying to stay calm, but it's not really working. So my hands are moving because I'm having a panic attack while I'm live streaming. It's because it's one of my fears. My fear is dying of a heart attack live on stream.
It shall not come to pass.
So when I get like the chest pains and I'm streaming, I start getting really panicky, but I try not to show it. So that's why my hands move because but I do get that looks proper weird. I do get it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's yeah. Why am I having because I have cardiophobia. I have a genuine fear of dying of a heart attack. And even though my heart's been checked and it's absolutely fine, doctor ended up saying after my 7th check, he was like, I can't guarantee you won't ever die of a heart attack. He said, but he'd be more shocked than he goes, you're more likely to die driving here to get tested in a car crash. I was like, cheers, doc, that's what you want to hear, but no, it's true. Anyway. Terry, please don't pop your clogs. But if it's my time, bro, it's my time. If God needs me for a greater plan, and God needs me for a greater plan. I just don't want it to be on stream because that will just live forever. Do you know what I mean?
You've got to ruin it for the rest of us, bro.
Don't be on stream. There we go. Yeah, I will go viral, and I don't want to go viral for stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
You won't have a choice at that point. Don't worry, you'll be in heaven.
Yeah, it won't matter to me. Won't matter to me at all. Look, I want to say a big thank you to every single person who's tuned into the show today. A happy new year to everybody. We're going to be live after the football later today. It's been a crazy start to the new year. It's been a kind of a quiet December. And the last couple of days have been absolutely crazy. So listen, do us a favor, please. Like, share, and subscribe. We're going to be back after Liverpool's game. And then I didn't realize they were at different times today, which was actually quite nice. First time in like 5 weeks, I feel like they've spread the games nicely, which is great. Gents, thank you for coming on. All our other callers, thank you to our super chatters. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you soon.